Good day. I'm gonna say good morning, and I'm like, wait, uh,
It's morning here.
it is morning, but is it going to be morning every time somebody listens to the show? No. So yeah, I made that decision halfway through my sentence. I'm sure you can probably pinpoint
I couldn't have got.
where I made it. Anyway,
Well,
you were obviously listening to the Odyssey Files, and I am obviously the host, Michael O'Neill. With me, thankfully, is my my
for
my
another
wonderful
week.
co-host, Mr. David Sawyerine. Yeah, good day, Dave.
Yeah. Good morning, Mike. I'm gonna go with morning because it is a beautiful morning. 10:02 a.m. Going to be a little hot for Mother's Day here in the great state of Minnesota, but it's supposed to be nice. So
I I,
I want to
I
say
was
happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful moms, and
I
happy
was
Mother's Day to my mom who has regretfully gone on to heaven. Passed away earlier this year. So hi, Mom. I hope everything's going great. Happy
I,
Mother's Day. I love you.
I yeah I was going to say the couple announcements. The first one was going to be a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and to my mother, who did not pass away earlier this year, but many years ago, unfortunately, but is still around. So she's probably in the doorway or whatever, you know,
Oh,
waiting
I'm sure
for
my
her.
mom, my mom's here. Kathy said my mom's hanging around, so I'm sure she's around.
Yep, yep. Uh,
Although it is kind of strange, right? That our moms didn't they die on the same day of the
yeah,
month? Yeah, a
yeah,
little.
yeah.
That's a
They did.
little. It's a little odd. You
Yeah.
know how I am with coincidences.
Well, and I sent that to you because I think you, uh, one, because I thought you would find it interesting, and two, to
Oh,
torture
totally.
you,
Yeah,
um, because you were having a hard time sleeping and whatnot. So I was like, well, hey, here's a rabbit hole for you to go down.
yeah. Thanks. I appreciated that. Yeah,
But yeah, because
yeah.
I sent that to you because it was January 28th. I said my mother died on January 28th. My nephew was born on January 28th, and now your mom regretfully passed away on January 28th,
Right.
and I even went to Cena, and I'm like, what is with that? I'm like, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't think she actually found any sort of
Connection.
universal connection. At least not one that she told me of. But yeah, happy Mother's Day to everybody. I know that as people listen to this show on later dates, it will no longer be Mother's Day, but you know, take it for what it is, people. We live. The other announcement that I should make, and I have no idea if this is going to come into play or not, or what it is going to do to the show. Um, I'm trying out a new internet router uh, that I use in the trailer. Now I've complained about the trailer and the Wi-Fi in the trailer like multiple times on the show over the past month or two.
Yep.
But now I'm bringing it into the house, so it's not in the trailer anymore. I brought it into the house. It's behind the green screen behind me, right in the windowsill. But uh, I'm I keep seeing the StreamYard come up and be like, your connection is unstable. And I'm like, I don't like seeing that. And for whatever reason, my router will just stop working and will reboot itself. And it has since yesterday. But sometimes like it'll go a while before it'll do it. And it's crazy. So I don't know what it's going to do to the show. So hopefully like I'll just disappear and then I'll come back, but the show will continue. Um,
That's fine. I'll run with it if it does.
yeah, exactly. So I have tested it out with um, Scott and Cameron in like a private uh, like team meeting and whatnot. So I've streamed, but I haven't gone live. And at that point in time, it was down the hall in my living room. Now it's like 10 feet from me. So we'll see how it works. But we have a great show for everybody. Hopefully, it'll be a smooth sailing one. Uh, we we have a guy who's been on the show multiple times. He's even co-hosted with me. He's a good friend of mine, paranormal investigator Jerry Ayres, who is director of Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota. And even though, for the first 10, 11 years or whatever of his career, as Sim's career, they did like my team does, paranormal investigations, helping people. Over the last I don't know exactly how long he's been doing. I think for at least over a year now. But his team,
it's been a solid year, yeah.
Yeah, it's been at least a solid year. But his paranormal team has branched out to try to use the supernatural and to use the paranormal in order to solve cold cases for here in the region. So we're gonna hear how that's going. What got him into it? I know they were just out yesterday. Apparently, and I'm sure he's so proud of it. He'll bring it up probably multiple times. But they were donated like an ROV unit to go underwater. Very, very proud of that.
That's very cool.
So they used it yesterday, I think, for the first time. So I'm interested to hear how that went, and how that whole thing is going for him. I've tried to
take that bad boy over to Catalina Island, man, because there's all kinds of weird shit happening over on Catalina Island right now. Off the coast of California.
Okay.
I mean, more and more information's coming out. More stuff from the government got, basically declassified. They're seeing more and more, like pedestrians are seeing stuff, fighter pilots are seeing stuff. So there's something going on over off the coast of California right now.
Yeah, we're obviously talking about UFOs. Or
well, that's why I was thinking take that ROV over there to some of those deep caverns that they have and see if you can find a USO.
There it is, USO. Wait, is it a USO?
Yeah. Underwater submerged object.
Okay.
Or unidentified submerged object, whatever it is.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Good. The reason why it was so, where I was like, is that the right name, is because obviously the USO is, what they call the tour where like the celebrities go overseas and entertain the troops.
Anyway, but the Bob Hope used to go over there back in the 50s, and
they called that the USO tour. So I mean, but yeah. So anyway,
well, it's like they had to change the name from UFO to UAP for some reason, because UFO just was not working anymore for some reason.
Right.
It's only been called a UFO for the last 75 years, but all of a sudden that wasn't good enough anymore, so it had to become something different.
Well, nobody's scared of UFOs anymore. Everything's a UFO now. UAP that can be rebranded as something scary.
Absolutely.
Not to us, but I mean,
not to me, but yes, right, to the general populace. Yes, I understand.
All righty. Well, we've been off for a couple of weeks. We've had a bunch of guests, so it's been quite a while since we've done the Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. Yes.
Should we do a quick shout out? I'm going to do a quick shout out here. So
sure. Oh, yes.
Pope Leo. I love this
Leo
one.
the 14th.
Yep. So he's got his Bears Cardinals thing on with his Al's beef sandwich. We'll get rid of the liquor bottle there if we can. But anyway, I saw that. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Obviously photoshopped, but I mean,
obviously photoshopped. But I still thought it was a great picture of him coming from Chicago. So he's got his little Chicago Bears hat going and his Al's beef sandwich from over on Taylor Street. You're welcome, Al. By the way, best sandwich in Chicago.
I wouldn't know.
Oh,
but
my God. Yeah. Well, if we ever get over there together, we'll go over there and you'll learn. It's the holy grail of beef sandwiches in Chicago.
Well, I mean, they're starting to work on the light rail now. because they're going to put light rail from the Twin Cities straight down to Chicago.
Are they?
Yeah, and I believe they've started. There's certain sections of I-94 now where they're starting to work in the medium, and I'm just like, and I'm sitting there going, as I'm driving past like every night, I'm like, well, what are they doing? I'm like, this road is fine right here. I'm like, there's no reason to redo the road, and I'm like,
Exactly.
oh. I'm like, that's right. I'm like, yeah, there were plans to put light rail from the Twin Cities straight down to Chicago.
That'd be great. Like the bullet train over
Yeah,
in
I think
Japan.
so.
You know,
I
like
don't,
100 mile an hour, just
I don't,
flying. Get there in like 3.5 hours.
yeah, I don't know if that's how fast it's going to go or not. But yeah, there's been talk of that for a couple of years, and I think they finally started doing it.
Well, they've been talking
Um,
about running it up to Duluth too, and I think that would be a great idea because they were going to run it right through Forest Lake here. It's going to come
still,
right up the side of the highway at Forest Lake and go straight up to Duluth. And I thought, well,
one
that's a
thing at a
great
time,
idea.
Dave. Apparently, people
Hour
want to go to
hour
Chicago
trip to
more than
Duluth.
Duluth.
Well, I don't know. I'd go to both. I mean, if I could get to Duluth in
Well,
an hour, I'd fly up there for a freaking burger, or take the train up there for a burger.
how
You
would you
know,
get?
every couple weekends.
Well, I
Well, you just
definitely go
grab
to
an
the
Uber. I mean, it can't be that much to get an Uber from wherever the train station is going to be across the bridge
to the Anchor.
to the Anchor. Yeah,
Very,
you know,
excuse me,
$5,
very.
$10 for an Uber. I mean, that's well worth the investment.
I agree, especially since their
Yeah.
burgers are so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
No, I'm
but
hungry.
you're welcome. Well, we still have an hour and say 47
We have
minutes
basically
left.
2 hours left before you
Yeah,
get to eat. So yeah,
pretty much. So, but yes, and I do want. I've recently become Facebook friends with Father Bob Bailey.
yeah,
Uh, and I know I asked you, I don't know if you had a time to do it yet, to reach out to Bishop Rita. But I definitely want somebody from the cloth to come on the show to talk about, I mean, not only their role in what they've done with the supernatural and the paranormal and stuff. Obviously, Bob Bailey has been a part of that aspect of things for years and years. And
oh, yeah.
We've already had Bishop Rita on. Naturally, didn't get to everything we wanted to talk to her about,
Yep.
but the new world energy, and especially the new Pope, and from coming here, for coming from Chicago and whatnot, I would love to know their take
Yeah.
on
First
on the.
American Pope ever.
Yep. Well, see, and this is a good distinction to make. First, North American.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
South America.
South American, correct.
Yeah, Pope Francis, I believe, was South American. So
That's a good question. I couldn't quote that either way.
I thought he was from like Venezuela or something like that. But yeah, first North American, United States of America Pope.
Right.
So
I saw this. I want to read this real quick too while we're on the Pope thing because it goes directly hand in hand here. So I had seen that Robert Barron, who is the bishop of the Diocese of Winona, Rochester, and Minnesota, was recently appointed by President Trump to be the leader of the White House Commission on Religious Liberty. So congratulations to Robert Barron. And he's local. He's a local guy. So maybe there's another person to reach out to. But he said this, and I found this to be very interesting. Or actually, one of his mentors said this, but he was quoted as kind of repeating it. He said, "Look, until America goes into political decline, there won't be an American Pope." And his point was, if America is kind of running the world politically, culturally, and economically, they don't want America running the world religiously. And the "they" obviously would be in quotes. So I think there's some truth to that we're such a superpower and so dominant, they don't want to give us also control over the church. So this quote was put out. I saw this quote probably right after the Pope had passed away, long before Conclave had gotten together. So I found it very interesting. I meant to share it with you earlier than that to get your take on it, but I find that very interesting that that they view us like that the world kind of views us like that, which I think that's pretty damn accurate, that the world sees us like that, but that they don't want to give us that religious, that last piece of the puzzle, because that's the one last thing that they can hold on to and basically be like, no, you Americans, you go play someplace else. You got enough toys. You don't get to have another piece of the power puzzle here. So does that mean, that we're in such a politically unstable climate that it's
Well,
almost
that
prophetic?
well that yes, we
Yeah.
absolutely are. But I don't. I get it. I get it because, like politics and like organized religion, I'm not saying religion or faith or spiritual,
Right.
organized
Organized
religion,
religion. There's a difference, right?
like the Catholic Church is,
Right.
still has to do optics. Like they still have to appear neutral, or they have to appear godly. They have, it's why they scrape under the rug all of these pre scandals and stuff like that they do, because they have to look pure. And if we're viewed by the world as being, the arrogant a-holes that we typically show ourselves off to be, depending on who the president is, I think it would look to the world if they also gave us the popehood, that we had somehow bought it, or that we had lobbied for it because we wanted more power. But now that, David, you and I try to get so not political on this
Oh,
show.
I'm trying not. No, no, I'm
I
not trying to get political at all. I just thought it was a
I know.
very prophetic statement that was made prior to the election of Pope
No,
Leo, or
it,
appointment. I'm sorry, of Pope Leo. So
and I get it, and so I get the optics, but then you have to take into account just the person who's just going to do the best job.
right.
And somebody from America can be humble.
Yeah, believe it or
So,
not,
so
there's a few of
somebody
us around. Yeah,
somebody from America, North America,
North
from the
America, right? United
US,
States. Yeah,
can be pious, can be
right,
humble.
right.
And so I I hope that they don't take his geographic location into account. I would hope that they would not do
Right.
that.
Right. And hold it
Even though,
against them, type of thing.
well, yeah, exactly. And if, Pope Leo the 14th now, if he's just the best person for the job, have at it. And I was watching the news um, before just as conclave was beginning.
Mhm.
I think they were like starting to like walk in and do, shake hands and stuff like that before they go and do their thing. And I can't remember if you said there was like 133 cardinals or something like that were going into conclave, something like that. But
I think that's the number, something like that. Yeah, it's right around there.
yeah, but like 108 of them were elected by Pope Francis.
Yeah, there was a
And,
lot that were elected by
and,
Pope Francis.
and so I was happy at the fact that, because that was my one worry about a new pope, because I really liked Pope Francis and the things that he was saying, and the
Yeah,
fact that he wasn't being a right-wing lunatic. But I was really worried that they were going to take another pope that was going to go backwards from what he was doing. All of a sudden, being a homosexual was a sin against God, and all these others. You need to stone, the wife or whatever. If she has that sort of thing.
right.
And so I was really happy to hear that he's a lot like Pope Francis,
Yeah,
and whatnot, and that he knew Pope Francis and was like elected, or not elected, but like uh,
appointed.
appointed. I was going to say that the exact word I was looking for. Appointed by Pope Francis. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I've already seen. I don't know if it's true or not because I didn't click on it, but I guess already Pope Leo has now been like gotten involved, not involved, but he's already made a statement about the Russia-Ukrainian war
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So they're thinking like at least this is a Pope with a spine.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you can't
Taking
be
a
from
position. Yeah.
you can't be from Chicago and not have a spine or an opinion.
Oh, he's got the attitude. Everybody from Chicago has the attitude. It's just whether you subdue it or whether you let it bubble to the surface. But it's just inborn. It's born when you're born there.
Yeah.
That's just that. It's ingrained, man. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So I wish him all the luck in the world.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
And yeah, let's see what he can do. But
all right,
are we good? Are we going to get the mail now?
I got a beauty. I'm starting. Or do you
Oh,
want to start? You start. No, you start. Well, I don't care.
Well, you know what? Turn it over a new
because
leaf.
you know what? We don't have because we shifted the way that I'm doing them now. As far, yeah, exactly. So it's like you've got yours, I've got mine. Da da da. They don't cross lap. So okay.
And I don't even know what Dave's are.
You don't. So okay. Haunted doll help. Hey guys, I've been thinking about buying a haunted doll to have a paranormal experience, but I'd like to study about haunted dolls and about spirits first, about ways of communication and ways of prevention, just in case something goes wrong. But I'm not sure where to start. Could either one of you please help me with a little bit of guidance? Yep, I certainly can. Take that idea and throw it right in the effing garbage can, because there is no reason why you should be having a paranormal experience with a haunted doll. If you want to have a paranormal experience, we've told that on this show, we've mentioned dozens and dozens of ways where you can go scare yourself, creep yourself out, have a legitimate experience, stuff like that. Getting a haunted doll, the only credit I'm going to give this person is the fact that they mentioned that they want some ideas on prevention just in case the shitstorm erupts, right? Like, hey guys, I want to dabble into this, and I'm throwing all safety to the wind, but just in case the thing gets up and starts chasing me around the house, like, what should I know as far as like what to protect myself at that point? Look, here's the deal. I get it. People, I'm gonna write this up as a thrill seeker because there's obviously, to me, absolutely no reason why you would want to have an experience by utilizing a haunted doll. And man, that made me think of Johnny. We got to get Johnny back on the show because I want to know what the hell ever happened with that doll that he had with then that whole story. But just know, N-O, not K-N-O-W, just N-O, capital letters. Don't mess around with something that you don't understand. You obviously don't understand the paranormal at all. So just my best advice to you is just stay away from everything. Because this is going to be one of those cases of you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. And then you're going to get charged $500 an hour when you call me for the stupidity fee. This is a prime case of something like that, and I say that in the nicest way possible. But
that's like me saying, with all due respect, you're an idiot.
With all due respect, yeah. I mean, just stay away from it. Don't even get involved in the paranormal. Just go stick with horror movies and some creepy novels. Stephen King writes some great novels that'll keep you up at night. Go back to some old school horror writing. I'm just saying no to dolls. What do you think, Mike?
Gee, Dave, I wonder. Yeah, I mean, anybody listening to the show, and you could, right from the title of it, I'm just like, oh my god, oh, here we go again. The only thing that I will add to what you say, because you're absolutely correct, and I would just mimic everything that you had just said anyways.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would add is you're probably because you don't know anything about haunted dolls or the paranormal, and the fact that you were like, I need to do research on haunted dolls and spirits, you're probably going to go to eBay and somebody's going to post haunted doll, $350, and you're not even going to have any clue, any confirmation, nothing that it is even haunted.
Right.
And so you're going to get some Raggedy Ann doll that has nothing to it whatsoever, and you're going to freak yourself out because every little thing that happens, you're going to attribute to this doll. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask a friend to just go to a toy store and just buy you a doll. Don't tell you anything about it, and just tell them to claim that it's haunted. And then you're going to have this experience because that's what you want. But you're not going to be in any danger because you're just doing it to yourself. And there you go. That is the foolproof way of having a paranormal experience without any of the danger and risk associated with it. Because you don't know anything about it, you're going to make it up as you go. And that's all you need.
Yeah, it's very true. The mind's a powerful thing.
Yes, it is. I mean, how many times, Dave? How many times over the course of the last 14 years, and obviously for you, way beyond, where a house settling is all of a sudden a demon?
Oh God, yeah.
Or a mouse running through the walls is a spirit trying to communicate.
Scratching. Yeah.
Yeah. A roar of a distant car or headlights is all of a sudden a shadow man walking down the hallway. Yeah. I mean, people can turn anything. If they don't know what they're looking for and they don't know what they're doing, people can turn anything into a paranormal experience.
Well, I totally agree with that. The more you are on edge about the paranormal in general, the more things are going to lean towards paranormal explanations, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, remember going back many years, and first time that I had ever investigated a house that had an active boiler system with radiators. And even I got caught off guard with the clanking of the pipe and then the hiss of the radiator as it turned on, right?
Knock.
Yeah, because you're in pitch black, and this thing just happened to be perfectly timed to, can you knock on something? Bang, 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 it was just one of those perfect moments. And it caused me to pause for a second, not going to lie. But then when I realized what it was, I was like, there was an intelligent explanation for it. But yeah, if you're afraid of the paranormal, you're going to look for a paranormal answer first and a logical answer second, I think.
Yes. I have a good story about that. I'm not going to tell it this time, though, because I just want to move on. But yeah. I do want to say one quick thing. And this is an ongoing on-the-table offer. Anybody who would like a haunted doll, reach out to me. I will send you a haunted doll.
There you go.
Free of charge.
There you go.
Might charge you for shipping. Not sure. We'll see. But there you go. Anybody that wants a haunted doll, I will send you a haunted doll. So reach out to me. What are you doing? Your face is huge.
Yeah. Oh, I was just moving something over.
I know.
Sorry.
All right. Has anyone had any encounters with the beautiful nature spirits so often mentioned in folklore worldwide? Now, as I was looking over this, I was just like, this is like a show topic just in and of itself.
I think so.
We call it the seductive beauty of folklore. Because I'll read it. So here we go. I have read and heard a lot about ghosts and the fair folk, but I don't think I've come across any mention of the beautiful and seductive type of creatures or spirits outside of old folklore, like nymphs and Holbra. etc. There are tales of similar beings from all over the world, so it makes me think there could be some truth to it. Now, I've heard of nymphs. I think we all have. Naturally,
Mhm.
that's where nymphomaniacs come from. I'm just kidding. That's not.
My mind went to water nymphs. You went nymphomaniac. There's
I
the
went.
show right there in a heartbeat.
I went
I'm
nymphomaniac.
thinking of beautiful little water nymphs and beautiful, this little pond, fresh stream, and Mike's right into nymphomania.
Exactly.
Uh,
Um, but anyway, so but the Holdra, the Holder, I have never heard of before ever. So I actually looked it up.
yeah,
Um, so it is a seductive. That seems to be like the ongoing theme of this is they're seductive,
yeah,
but a seductive forest creature found in Scandinavian folklore. Her name derives from a root meaning covered or secret. In Norwegian folklore, she is also known as a Huldra. Um, though folklore presupposes, I'm sorry,
yeah.
that there is an entire Hulder race and not just a single individual. So, anyway, often depicted as a beautiful but not supernatural characteristics like a cow's tail or a hollow back. She's associated with luring men, naturally, into the forest, sometimes offering aid to those who are kind to her. The word holder can also refer to a male version called a holdrakal. I think I said that correctly.
It's close
Um,
enough for me.
right. So, uh,
Why do I see like incubus and succubus cousins
see, and that's
popping
where
in my head there? Yeah,
that's kind of where I went with it too. I'm like,
yeah,
these seem to be a different take on the incubus and the succubus.
yeah.
Only the incubus and the succubus obviously don't offer aid to people who are kind to them.
Well,
They
they offer their own type of aid, I guess. But right, correct. Not positive. Not what we would consider to be positive aid. Yes.
well, I mean, depends. I mean, it's more of a marital aid.
Yeah.
Get my
Yeah.
the cousins of the nymphomaniac.
Yeah. Yeah. Or end of days aid, depending on how you look at it, I guess.
Right. So the nymph obviously is Dave was talking about. That's Greek mythology, a female nature spirit often depicted as a beautiful young woman
Hmm.
associated with specific natural locations or elements like trees, water, or mountains. This also reminded me, and I was looking at some of the photos of that people have painted and stuff over the centuries of what nymphs. I mean, and it reminded me a lot of elves.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're
you
in that
know,
neighborhood. Yeah.
yeah, elves and fairies and stuff like that. So I mean, I honestly think that this is just another version of the same thing. And Dave and I have done a lot of shows where we talk about different aspects or different mythological creatures and stuff like that from around the world, and they all have different characteristics, but they all have the same underlying meaning.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the same as elves, is the same as the succubus, only it was made nicer or more beautiful by the seductive, beautiful young uh, woman that all the nymphs and the holder and stuff like that come to be. Although there was no painting whatsoever of what a male holder would look like, uh, probably because nobody cares.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see a male nymph.
Well, that was the holder. I don't know about a male nymph. Are
Well, true.
there
Yeah.
are there male nymphs? I honestly don't know.
I, that's a good question. I don't associate the word nymph with a male, uh, just with the masculinity. I've always associated it with femininity. So I would, it
Yeah,
could there
it's the
be male nymphs? I suppose, right?
difference
But
between a nymphomaniac and a man whore.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I'm just saying, no man has ever called a nymphomaniac. They're
No, that's
called
very true.
they're called man whores. All
Yeah.
right, your turn, Dave. I'm off this one.
All right. So mimics. Has anyone actually responded to one to see what it was? Okay, guys. So as we all know, most of us are familiar with the concept of hearing voices of someone you know or love asking you to come over to where they are or something along those lines. Um, has anyone ever heard of a time or experienced a time when they actually went to check out the voice? It appears to me that most people will hide in the same spot for a very long time because they're scared. They don't want to move. And so they're just quietly listening for what's going to come next. I understand that's a normal response in this situation. But have you heard or have you guys actually followed the voice before? Gone to the room, gone down the hall where it's coming from, however ill-advised, and witnessed what was at the end of the hall? Um, I have actually. Uh, I can't think of a time that I haven't. Maybe early on when I was really young and I was just getting into the paranormal. Maybe if it was my grandpa's voice or something, and I knew he had already understood that he had passed away, and there was no way he could possibly be down, around the corner towards the bedroom door. There's no way it could be him, and I understood that logically. So the only thing at that point would be, to me, with what I was going through and what I had grown up with, was that it's the you know thing that is kind of trying to trick me and coax me into some dangerous situation. But as an adult, for the last 25, 30 years, I can't think of a time when I haven't heard a voice and kind of gone after it. I do the pause. I think that's just a human response. So I do pause and listen for any type of follow up. So I think that's just normal, right? Like if you hear a voice come from, let's say, down the hallway, you're going to stop and listen to see if there's. I listen for things like, do I hear shuffling? Do I hear footsteps? Do I hear somebody rustling around and like putting clothes away in a drawer? Anything along those lines, something to back up. Basically, what I'm looking for is something to back up what I just audibly heard with a second or third piece of evidence. It's a personal experience evidence, but it's still evidence to me because I'm the one there investigating what's going on, trying to get answers for the family. So yes, I do chase them down. I don't think that there's any reason not to. So if you're ever in a situation, this is one of those moments when you can overcome your fear and confront the situation, because in my personal opinion, the worst thing you can do if you're having issues at home is to be scared of what's happening in your home. And I've said this a million times, take your space back by going down the hallway, going around the corner to where you heard the voice come from. You're showing it that you were in charge. You're showing it that you are not afraid. And I think that that's the right move 95% of the time.
So there's three different aspects that come to mind with this, and because I don't have it, the story in front
Right.
of me, I can't. Uh, I I take that this is a very generally written
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
and so from the aspect of like a homeowner, mother, child, husband, whatever, hearing somebody else that lives in the home's voice, like down the hallway or upstairs, being like, like, Amy, come here, or whatever, it is.
Right.
Yeah, people react to it all the time. They think it's their husband, they think it's their wife, they think it's their kids. Of course, they're going to react to it. Are you referring to people like out in the woods, where they hear this, come here, that, or help,
Right.
like with the thing of like the Wendigo and stuff like that? Now, do
Right.
they chase that down? Not really. Like that's usually where they don't
Draw
chase
the
down
line.
yeah,
Yeah.
they draw the line. And so like I said, I don't know which aspect he's referring to.
Yeah,
Um
it didn't really put anything specific on it, just that concept of a mimic, I guess,
yeah.
and whether or not you kind of go after the voice.
Right. So I think if it comes from the deep dark woods, not a lot of people go after the
You
voice.
might pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It- well, you probably would, but I just mean not, like I said, not many people.
Right.
Paranormal people might, but college students or people just walking, their dog down the path probably won't.
Oh yeah, no, no.
Um,
Somebody taking their dog for a walk and you hear somebody yell their voice from the dark woods. They're not taking the dog over to the woods. No,
yeah,
they're turning around. They've both relieved themselves. Both the person and the dog just immediately relieve themselves, and they're out. Yeah.
yeah. So, and if we're talking about paranormal investigation, if we're like you and I, Dave, are at the caves or something like that, and we
Yeah.
hear a voice down the end of the hall or whatever. I think it depends on your style. I think there are people who definitely be like, I just heard a voice, boom, down the hallway they go, after it. Uh, for me, I like to see if it'll repeat.
Hmm.
So I would have, if I were to hear a voice down the hallway or something like that, being like, come here or whatever, and I'm like, I would pause and be like, can you repeat that? Just to see if
Hmm.
it's intelligent enough, and if I'm actually paying attention, if I heard what I thought I heard. Typically, if it doesn't repeat or doesn't do anything, I will probably just be like, well, that was weird, and move on. Move on with the investigation. Um, so again, it depends on the situation and if I can get it to confirm. Because chances are I'm not expecting it, so I'd want confirmation
Yeah.
that. And if it was like come here or hell, like, then I would do it. F yeah, I almost said the full word on that one, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, you probably would just be like, I just heard about and start walking down the hallway.
I would pause for a second, like I said, just to see if there's a second piece of evidence that kind of matches it. So
Yeah,
do I hear shuffling of feet? Do I hear a footstep kind of running away from the door frame? But am I
yeah,
going down there to check it out? Oh yeah, yeah, I'm going down there. Probably not immediately. I know it's confrontation with the paranormal is really not the best method, but I would definitely be down there to see who it was. And then, knowing me, I'd be down there going, Lucy, or something like that, just being a goofball
yeah.
and to see if I get any type of response once I got down there and there was nothing there because 99.99999 times there's nothing there, you know?
Sadly, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sadly. Exactly. How sweet would that be if the odds kicked up to like 75-25? You'd be chasing that shit a lot more frequently.
Probably.
Yeah. Knowing
Um,
that there's a chance to actually have an experience.
Alrighty. I'm gonna do this one. It's shorter. A student knew my sister passed away. I worked in a school and was sitting with a class of kindergarten students. I'm not the teacher in the classroom. I was just visiting. I was sitting next to a particular student who randomly asked me, "You have a sister and a mom?" And I responded, "I have a mom, brother, and dad." She responded, "You don't have a sister?" I shook my head and said, "No." She responded, "She passed away?" And I said, "How did you know that?" She went on to tell me, like my sister, she died. Uh, she continued to tell me some of the story. I confirmed with the teacher that her sister was killed. I do have a sister that passed away in an accident with my mom. My mom survived. This was before I was born, so I never met my sister. I know people say kids can often see dead people or have more of an ability to communicate with the dead. Do you think this was a coincidence, just an act of imagination? It gave me a really weird feeling, and I'm not sure what to think of it. Um, I don't know why, but as I read, because I read this just before the show, um, and I've read stories for years now, and about people passing away. And for some reason, this one like actually started bringing tears to my eyes. I have no idea why. There's nothing remarkable about it. Um, but so yeah, I don't know why, but this one feels a little hitting home. Maybe, I don't know. But to answer the question, uh, just because you never met your sister doesn't mean your sister never met you. And uh, even though she passed away before you were born, doesn't mean she's not going to look out for her sister and for her
Mhm.
family and whatnot. And so, I mean, you're right on the fact that kids have a certain, they have a certain ability that, especially around a kindergarten age, they're going to be able to understand that. And I'll bet your sister's around you all the time. You just don't know it. Um, and so I would think that this kindergarten girl, especially since she's so sensitive to that energy, that aspect, that trauma of it, because her sister had been killed, probably made her more open to knowing or maybe even seeing that your sister was around you and picking up on what had happened. Um, so to this little girl, she's seeing your sister right there. And so it was a surprise to her that you were like, no, I don't have a sister. Um, and so I don't know if you particularly need to make anything of it or to be worried about it. I honestly would take it as a wonderful experience, and confirmation that even though you never met your sister is still looking out for you. And uh, and yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Um, More than likely, her sister was standing there. That's why the child asked that. Just a kind of a innocent question. Um, and yes, to answer that other question, kids totally can see more until we take away that ability as adults. Um, but kids experience more. They're more in tune with the paranormal, just like dogs are, just like cats are. It's just the way it is, and children are too. So, like I've always said, or I've said many, many, many times anyway, one of the best gifts my dad ever gave me was not to tell me that it was nothing, that he actually believed that what was happening when I was a child. And and he actually witnessed a lot of the shit that I witnessed as well. So um that aspect, I think, is what makes individuals like myself a little bit unique, in the fact that we never lost um that childhood ability. It never got taken away because we were never told no, and never told to go back to bed. It's nothing. It's just your imagination. Like, I never was told that. So I do think that the kid probably saw, like you said, sister was probably there. Um, Very cool. And I just want to add, if that got you emotionally, it's because you're evolving. So congratulations. Okay. Was this a,
Way to use my terminology against me, Dave.
was this a message or a nightmare? This is graphic, so I'm just going to throw that out there.
Nice.
A few nights ago, I had the most horrendous nightmare of my life. It was like watching a movie play out up close. I saw an African American boy, about 13 to 14 years old, walking over some railroad tracks. He was looking down at his phone while walking. I clearly saw his face and the hoodie that he had on over his head. I saw the white laces hanging down on either side of his face, and the hoodie color was a dark burgundy, almost purplish in color. I watched as the boy reached the tracks, and he paused and looked up. He was staring at the front grille of a blue pickup truck. The scene then zoomed in on the driver of the truck. It was a man in his mid 40s, piercing blue eyes, black hair parted to the side. He also had a full black mustache. I watched as this man looked at the boy who was stopped in front of his truck, and his expression changed from innocence to an angry, malicious grin. With that, he floored it and intentionally aimed his vehicle for the boy. The boy got trapped under the truck and was twisted so that he was face down and pinned beneath the truck and the tracks. Regretfully, his face was literally scraped off by the tracks, and the truck continued to drag his body down the tracks at a high rate of speed. I was trying to scream, but nothing came out. The scene suddenly stopped and again zoomed in close on the driver. It was a replay of the moment before he saw the boy. The driver completely changed his expression to one of innocence as he stopped and looked both ways before crossing over the tracks. So, in case everybody got lost there, this person saw this as two different things. One as the driver of the truck intentionally taking this boy out and taking his life, and then as, kind of sounds to me like the boy not even being there. But anyway, I just want to pause there for a second with that because it did sound a little confusing. So I woke up screaming, and I can't stop saying this in my head ever since, guys. Was this a nightmare, or could this really have happened somewhere? Is the boy trying to get a message through to tell someone it was no accident? How would I even begin to search for something like this? Even if I did find it, I couldn't accuse someone over a dream, obviously. I keep feeling as if the boy is counting on me to tell someone. Have you guys ever experienced anything like this? So no, I have not personally experienced that. I don't have those type of premonition dreams of, airplane crashes and warning people to not get on the plane, or, warning people not to be here at this certain time and stuff like that to avoid being injured or killed. It was a coin flip for me, but now that I've read it again for like the 10th time, I don't think this was a nightmare unless you happen to be watching like some movie or reading a book where something like this happened and it was stuck in your brain and you just laid down and went to bed type of thing. And so it played itself out. To me, this sounds like it's an event that happened only because of the detail that you saw and the detail like of the driver's face. Like you were meant to see that detail so that you could give a good description of the driver of the vehicle. So regretfully, did it happen? I'm going to lean towards yes. How can you track it down? Man, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd have to do a ton of legwork, and you'd have to see if there was somehow do a massive search to a young African-American boy killed on the railroad tracks or something. You would just have to keep typing in search engines and just keep typing in phrases. And even then, even if you got one, it doesn't mean that that's the actual incident that happened. But I do feel, my gut feels like this could be an actual incident that happened, and that this young boy saw you as a light from the darkness and was drawn to you and is trying to show you what happened to him to get some closure or to get some peace, maybe to help him move forward, get him out of the hole that he's trapped in. So if nothing else, don't worry about persecuting. Don't worry about trying to go and catch the person in the truck. Be more focused on helping the boy. Because if it is something that really happened, he needs your help. The guy driving the truck doesn't need your help. The kid who lost his life needs your help. So try to reach out to him, try to get him moved on. But if you can't, then find somebody who can and tag team it and try to get it some help to the guy.
I agree. Since you've been talking, I've been trying to look up something.
Yeah.
See if I could find anything. But yeah, not knowing what part of the country or world that she's in.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
Uh,
mean. It'd be
you know,
difficult.
not even knowing the uh, not even knowing the time frame. I mean, we could be looking at a homicide or something like that from the 1960s.
Well, no, because
Uh,
he was walking, looking at his phone.
no, well,
So it
that's
happened to be
okay.
sometime since cell phones come out. So within the last 20 years, I would say, right?
Yeah, nope, you're right on that one. I missed that. That's kind of the problem of not having the story in front of me, Dave.
Yeah. We'll get that corrected again.
But well, and hoodies. Obviously, hoodies didn't
Yeah.
exist in the 60s
Right.
either.
Yeah.
But I'm in agreement with you. I think that this was an actual event. I think somebody, whether it's I honestly don't know, because you would think that if it was the boy, that the dream would have focused on him, whereas it kind of went between the two, and from the boy to the driver, then kind of like the whole thing, and then back to the driver. um
I kind of think it was somehow she seeing through the boy's eyes what he saw standing in front of the truck. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for that moment where the kid looked up, right, and there's a pickup truck right in front of him, and the guy's face changes, and the kid can see it changing, whether it's from a street light or the dash lights or whatever. And it goes from this innocent kind of just a staring thing to this evil grin, like, here's my next victim kind of. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like, as she saw for a moment what the kid saw. That's why she saw it in such detail. Because if you were about to get run over by a truck, I guarantee you your brain would process as much detail as possible of the person driving that vehicle, whether you were trying to or not.
Maybe. I mean, I've had dreams before where I've been for comparative type of things, being the fly on the wall, like I'm watching it, like I'm watching a
Oh yeah.
movie.
Yep.
Yeah, and the way she described it and how she described it, it seems like that's her point of view, as opposed to uh, through the boy's eyes. But we're in complete agreement that I think this is something that actually happened.
Mhm.
Uh, why it shows her, no idea. It could be it happened in that neighborhood. It could be maybe she picked up something of his, through a
Right.
garage sale or something like that.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
Right.
you know, Somehow he has reached out, or some sort of force has reached out to show her what actually happened. So yeah, it would take uh, search words, keywords. Nobody's going to know better what she saw than her.
Right.
To see, and I agree. Honestly, sometimes just asking a question of a police officer, maybe if you do find where this happened and you do find what the story is, maybe asking a police officer, like, hey, some of times they will take quote unquote psychics,
Oh yeah.
at their word,
They do.
and
Yep.
they may look into it a little different.
Right.
They might think it's a suicide. Well, I saw this guy get run over by a truck.
Right.
Now they might go back and reanalyze something, like, oh, you're right, these actually do line up maybe more with getting hit by a truck as opposed to getting hit by a train. I would assume that if the scene is self-explanatory, there's a kid who's been torn to shreds pretty much on
Yeah.
train tracks.
Yeah.
You're not gonna look very hard past the kid got hit by a train.
Very true.
And so um and maybe that's it. Maybe he knows this boy knows that if the it's changed from like suicide or accident to homicide by hit and run, maybe that's all that needs to be done.
Yeah. Or second-degree murder. I mean, obviously, it wasn't premeditated, but you never know with individuals, right? They get that look in their eyes and they're like, oh, it's an opportunity. And they're a predator type of individual. Regretfully, stuff like that happens in our world. But
yes, it does. All righty. Are you ready?
I am.
For the second hour of the show and for our greatest guest ever to come on, and he just ruined it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the show, that my close friend, great investigator and great man, director and paranormal investigator of the Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota, the Sim Crew. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you paranormal investigator extraordinaire, Mr. Jerry Ayres. How'd you like that?
That was pretty good. Wow. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hey, Jerry, I'm doing all right, buddy. How are you?
You're looking sexy as ever, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Just know that came from Jerry, Dave.
I know who's talking. I can see who's talking. He appreciates fine quality, unlike yourself.
I do. I appreciate fine quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
This is a fine quality show.
Well,
it is a fine quality show.
Yeah. It is. I appreciate it.
And I was just thinking, whether it was this morning or last night or whatever time it was, that honestly, this show would not exist without your show, The Calling. Because
I think you would have gotten it together a long time ago, bro. There.
Well, no, because I never even would have thought about this sort of thing until I was a guest on your show.
My show was for 13 years. And now that I don't have it, I'm jonesing, man. I'm jonesing. I want to get back into it again, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. But right now, just doing what I'm doing with my team, Sim, we decided to still be paranormal, still going at that, but then adding the cold case files to it. After finding out a couple of friends of mine, one, I was shocked that back in 1992 that she's been missing since then, presumed dead. And the other one, who was a customer of mine when I owned Love a Pet Supplies back in the early 90s. The last thing I remember with her is that she ordered some things and I kept trying to deliver it and nothing. And then all of a sudden I read in the paper that they found her dismembered and animals were bringing home her body parts. And her head was found in another area. So it's been crazy. And then people get a hold of us because they have somebody that's missing. We've had great help by a podcaster by the name of Amy Pierce. She has a show that's called Aren't You the Girl? And it's about all the missing women out there that now it's a cold case. Why? Because they were prostitutes. And I was shocked to find out that one of my friends that I went to school with in Bemidji, Minnesota in 1992, when she came to the cities here, that she became a prostitute. I mean, whether a person was a prostitute or not, they deserve to have their case solved. They deserved, they had moms and dads, and no matter what goes on in someone's life, there's no reason to, push them off. One girl that we're working on the case with right now, she had 5 kids. And some of her kids didn't even know what happened. Police never contacted them, never told them. And when trying to get anything out of the police and stuff and the detectives it's like pulling teeth, so I don't know. Hopefully things are going to change. We went out yesterday. We were very much blessed by someone that had donated to us an underwater drone. And so we went out yesterday and tried to, use the drone, get used to it and everything. We've got a little way to go, but we have Annie, one of our members, her husband, Ben, I called him the drone commander, and he was out there, and we'll get it figured out and then get a boat out and start looking for bodies. And it's really weird because Mike, you know how skeptic I am at everything. Like you and I before in the past, we've talked about certain equipment that right away I say, that's a joke, and stuff. Well, to me, the ghost box is really not a joke anymore. It's like one of our first time, the girls, they wanted to do a seance type thing, and I'm against seances, that. There's a lot of things I'm against. And I said, you know what, you girls do it, and they call it the calling of the spirits. And so they went out, held hands, had sage burning, and asked the spirits to help them find a certain girl, which I'm sorry, I can't mention her name right now.
That's fine.
Her mom, or not her mother, but her sisters asked that we do not divulge who she is.
No
And
problem.
as we were in this location, when they mentioned her name, a voice came back on the ghost box, just a snap, and says, "Leave her alone." And when they said that, her sisters had been trying to find her since of the year, and we want some help in doing that. That's when they started cooperating, telling us, answering questions like, is she in this lake over here? And then they would say, or then it came back and said, no. She in the lake next to us? Yes. How many bodies are in the lake next to us? 2. And then one, even there was crying going on, asking for help. And it's like, I'm just so shocked by all this. And, some equipment's, there's some equipment I'm still very skeptical of, but other than that, it's going pretty good. But you got me turned on to body cams. Dude, that's all you really need. You don't need a voice recorder. Get a good body cam, get out there, and maybe add a infrared light to it, for extra vision and stuff. But those are the bomb. Best $165 I ever spent.
Now, hold on, because I'm going to correct
Okay.
the record here.
Okay.
I did not turn you on to body cams. You turned me on to body cams.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We bought a cheap one.
You bought a cheap one.
Yep. Yeah. And you bought a nice one.
I went like police officer grade type body cam, and you asked me the kind I did. So I mean, you turned me on to body cams, but you got the one that you have because of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we got 3 of them, and some of our team members are buying their own so that they can go through everything. They're easy to use. They have such great quality sound.
They do.
And everything. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of the best pieces of equipment you can get.
Plus, it frees up your hands. And people don't think that a lot, but as paranormal investigators, one of the earliest things that I learned, or one of the things I learned earliest on, was it's important to not overclutter your hands while you're trying to investigate, because you've got all this equipment in your hands, and then you got no free hands, and you're stumbling around in the dark, and you're trying to be quiet, and it just does not work, So the more you can put something like a body cam and attach it to your shirt and free up a hand, and it gives you vision and great audio, That's a phenomenal piece. Knock out two things in one stone, and you got free hands on top of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it's been, it's amazing, now, I don't consider myself to be a psychic, but I do believe that I've carry extra sense that of what's out there, and what I can feel, what I see, and especially when I'm mad, when I'm really mad, someone disses me. If I grab their hand, I can see their deepest, darkest secret, and I'll bring it out. Which you're not supposed to. You're supposed to tell them, but no, I got to do that. But in time of doing this type of stuff, you really develop some things and stuff, and it's just been an amazing journey. And the team I have right now is the best I've ever had since 2010 when we first started. So, yep.
That's a nice thing to be able to have.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of these members obviously have been with you either since the beginning or for years and years and years. What was their take when all of a sudden you were like, maybe we should go and start trying to solve cold cases? Like, what was their reaction to that shift?
Stephanie was the first one to say, yeah, we should try that, and I was really worried about the rest of them, but they fell in line. And then the first time we went out to a state park, and we had the body cams going, and we had everything going. It was cold, dude. I was the first one to whine about it, that it was so cold,
I can see.
And yeah. But anyway, we're walking and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, I am frozen. And all of a sudden, this evil laughter comes out of nowhere.
That might have been
in
me.
A park. No, you weren't there, you knothead.
In spirit.
Long distance, he was paneling.
And we heard that, and none of us heard it right away, but when we were playing everything back, and we were amazed that, my belief now is that spirits can talk, and they will talk. You ask the right question for the right reason, and they will listen to you, and they will communicate back. And that's what makes the difference. But there's so many out there that do the, I'm sorry to say this, but the Zach way, that's not going to get you nothing whatsoever. That'll get you pointed and laughed at. And if nobody else is looking, slapped in the back of the head or punched in the gut, because that's
down the staircase.
Yeah. Exactly. There you go. All right, Dave. All right. Look at Dave with the brain.
Working good still. It's early in the day.
He's not just a pretty face, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Okay, but no, it's been quite a thing, and it was funny because I had mentioned to the team about a girl that used to buy stuff from me when I owned Love It Pet Supplies back in the early 90s. A client, I said, and that's one that they had found her body parts everywhere and stuff. And I said, so let's all try to do some research on it. Well, then all of a sudden she come up with, she said, she calls me up and she says, there is a girl that's doing YouTube videos on people missing, and one of them is the girl that you talked about. And I went, what? And so I looked for her. I found her. She just posted it 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, I got to get in touch with her. Well, she was friend of a friend on Facebook, Winnie Schrader. And I got a hold of Winnie. I said, Winnie, do you know her? And she's like, yeah. And I said, I need to get a hold of her. And so she went and sent it to her and everything. And then I got this call, and Amy Pierce. And it's, like I said, it's called uh,
Are you the
Aren't
girl?
You the Girl? Aren't You the Girl? Aren't You the Girl? And so ever since then, Amy and I have been really good friends. And she has shared information that she has. And some of the information, she's done years of research on this. And, it's, as a matter of fact, we just got, about a week ago, went out to a place where a woman that had been bound at her knees and her legs and been beaten so much that her teeth were impacted in her hair, and her head was 10 feet away from her. She'd been there for quite a while, and she's been on that case for quite a bit. And, maybe it's because she's a prostitute or because she was black that they're just not doing nothing, but now things are getting done. And Steffi's brother, he was a detective in Kansas City, and he's the next person I'm going to be getting a hold of to talk about some of this stuff, because we want to go a little bit deeper, especially around the suspects that's in there. I wish I could tell you more about them, guys, but I can't. It's an ongoing thing, and we can't be looking over our shoulder of people showing up in the areas that we're at and doing the same thing. We've worked way too long and too hard at all this. Yeah. And the dedication that everybody has to this on the team has been just incredible, just incredible. And the team members, of course, Stephanie, she's a founding member. Katie is a founding member. May, a founding member. So those are the founders, and we are all still together. Unfortunately, we did lose George. Cancer took George. He was the one we called the skeptic. This guy, I think that's where I've gotten so skeptical of really listening to a person that, when we would go someplace, we went to this place out in Izani, and it was just George and I, and the guy was saying, yeah, the door to our bedroom keeps swinging open and everything. And George looks at me and then looks at him and says, you got a Phillips head screwdriver? He goes, sure. So George took the lock apart and said, here, you got a bad spring. That's what's going on. That's why it pops open once in a while. And he goes, well, the refrigerator sometimes. And George says, do you got a flathead screwdriver? I said, no, you ain't doing that, George.
Don't take the compressor. Don't take his compressor off his fridge, man. That's a little beyond our pay grade here. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want to buy the guy a new refrigerator. So.
George was amazing. He knew a lot of stuff, and he like he said once in a film that we did, he says somebody's got to keep these yahoos in line, and he was right, because we would hear a creak or we'd hear a twig snap and we'd be like, oh my God, did you hear that? And he's like shaking his head, okay.
That's awesome.
But now our new members, Nikki and Annie, and a new girl, and she's from Wisconsin, but she's really good at what she does, Desiree. They're just amazing, amazing people.
Is there a reason that you sound surprised that somebody from Wisconsin is good at what they do?
I was going to let it go, but God, the way he paused emphatically there, he's like, and she's from Wisconsin, and she knows what she's doing.
I did that because Mike's from Wisconsin.
I got you, man. That's funny.
You're from the Eau Claire, right?
I am from Eau Claire. Born and mostly raised. But yeah, and I know what I'm doing too. But
No, you do. You do a pretty good job. Yeah.
great. Thanks,
You
Jerry.
do a good job. Yeah, no problem.
Um,
Here's the thing is, people, if him and I don't kind of throw lemons and limes at each other, then you guys would think that we hate each other. But he's known as the Tootsie Roll Man on my team.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
For a
because you
second there, I was
wailed
like,
one at me.
yeah, we were at a convention and they were, you know, kind of kitty cornered us, and I was trying to get Jerry's attention, and he wasn't doing it, and so I grabbed a Tootsie Roll and chucked it at him. And apparently, somebody from his team took exception to that.
I just laughed it off and said, "Okay, that's Mike." You know,
Well, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to get your attention.
it hit me in the eye, and I had to cover.
Oh,
it
it
for
did
2 weeks.
not.
Emergency surgery,
Yeah,
out of network. Yeah.
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 I still can't see that
$1,000.
well out of it.
Yeah.
That's just old age, Jerry.
Yeah. Yep. Still got the little scar tissue. I saw it, Jerry.
Yeah, did you see that? Thank you.
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Next time, pay attention.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say. So, correct me if I'm wrong here. And again, don't need any of the like names or locations or anything like that. But wasn't two of the victims that you were trying to look up and find and learn more about? Wasn't there a theory that they could have been like murdered by the same person?
Correct. Yep. And as a matter of fact, that person for sure was a serial rapist. And they feel that he was part of it. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of speculation that two of the cases together, that the victims were held in one area and were probably there and cognizant of the other one, of what they're doing to them. There's that possibility, but there's no proof of that. And as a matter of fact, the one that has strong ties to my friend that I went to school with in Bemidji, has strong ties with her because she went missing 2 weeks after this person got out of prison in St. Paul, and they didn't live that far from each other. Anyway, so I called the prison that he's at and asked for an audience. I have not been turned down yet. Other people have been turned down, but my request still sitting there. Did I go in and saying that I wanted to interview him? Nope. I just said the truth. I'm a paranormal investigator, would like to talk to you. And one of his, from what someone had said to me, but they said I can't mention their name on radio, television, anything like that, is that he likes the shows. So that's a way in. That's a way in. You know, and you know, and there's, you know, just using what I know and what of all these different case, you know, all the files and everything that I've read and stuff, you know, to try to tip his hat on something, paranormally speaking, you know.
Okay, so the series.
I got
sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Quick, Jerry. Only because it was totally out of place as I'm listening to you, for me anyway. Was a couple of different females in like an underground holding cell with white PVC pipe for air vents.
I've never heard nothing about that.
Yeah, but just flashed into just kind of flashed into the back of my head as you were talking about that. Like I felt like I was walking across this field and I saw these white PVC pipes and there were actually air tubes for people that were being held like by some sadist under the ground. So I was meant to say that to you. Yeah, right. I was just telling you. I was meant to mention it to you, for otherwise it wouldn't have popped in my head that vividly.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who lives down in Mankato, and he has recently purchased a dog that was for finding, um, what do they call them?
Cadaver dog?
Not a cadaver. Well, it's a cadaver dog also too, but it's also in taught to find um, bombs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And so this summer, he's going to come up. We need to get permission to go to a certain couple areas and just let the dog, you know, check it out and see if there's anything there. Even though it's been years, it's still, from what I found, researching cadaver dogs and everything else and stuff, that they can still get a hold of the scent of bone. So even if it's, you know, um, you know,
Well,
uh,
I think as
uh,
we dissolve as human beings, as your body rots and decays, that particles are left in the soil. That's what
right.
they're picking up on, really. I mean, it's the
Yep.
rotten decay smell is still there, I think. I
Yep.
think you and I'd be able to smell it, honestly, for years after it was just a skeleton. If you got a handful of dirt from right there and smelled it, you probably could pick up a funky scent,
Yep.
you know,
Exactly.
something
There's
abnormal.
exactly. There's there's a couple places that also too that we want to look at this year, and so we're going to be checking that out too. And um, whenever we can find at least one person, then we'll ask the family, can we put it out,
Right.
and stuff, and kind of go through it, and then really be up and ready to go for this.
So
We're
what
excited
what
about it.
brought you to this? Like, was it an epiphany type of moment? Was it
It
just
was
a general interest in the concept and you were like, why don't we shift gears and see if we like this or not? I mean, what drove you to this initially?
well, it just I think it was just all of us together. I think we came up with that together because we uh, started, thinking about, going to places where people had been killed, and knowing that, I don't know how much you guys believe this or not, that the trees do talk.
Mhm.
The trees do talk. As a matter of fact, that's what really brought us to it. There was a missing girl up in northern Minnesota. I do not remember her name now. That I would definitely had kind of said that out. And they were looking for searchers. So the team said, let's go. So we went up there and we're looking, and all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute. This We didn't think that this was real, because everything they're saying about this, and then we find out that oh a week after this girl went missing, the mother had a funeral for her. A week after?
That's awful
It's like,
fast.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's way too fast.
that's
Even the
way too
girl
fast.
was a diabetic, and they were up in the woods, their favorite place to go, which they claim she knew the woods well. Now, here's the weird thing: her father said she did not like the water. Her mother said, oh, she loved the water. Why would they? And again, she was autistic. Why would they leave her on land and then all of them go on a pontoon way out in the lake? They said the
Smells very
last thing,
fishy.
exactly, the last thing they said they seen of her is that she stood up, looked to the right, and looking to the right from where this place is at, we went around by it. We got to look at it from a little bit far away. They would not allow us to go to the place because it's only been gone for, I think, only a day, if less. But thinking about it, if she went to the left she would have gone into heavy swamps, or to the right, heavy swamps. If she would have gone to the left, she would have actually came in the areas that we were at. There was at one point when the team were walking through the woods and everything, there was the smell of rotted, but that was an animal, I guess. She was wearing a tie-dye t-shirt. That's something that's highly visible.
Mm-hmm.
The police had drones out and everything else looking for her. I mean, there's another thing. They did not report her missing for an hour and a half. Why would you wait an hour and a half to 2 hours before telling law enforcement your autistic daughter is missing? That just seems awful strange. There, to all of us right away, we were like, well, wait a minute. I think that was the big turning point of everybody wanting to do, the cold case files, the Simcoe cold case too. But it's pretty amazing. I mean, when you're out there, I don't want to say that we went on an adrenaline rush trying to help a child and say that that's the only reason we did other stuff and everything. But it was if my daughter was like that, like my brother is mentally handicapped. When I was a kid, I mean, protecting him from other people and places that he would go by himself. You don't leave that. So, but why are these parents doing it? And now they post nothing about their child. Nothing.
Something stinks about that, man.
It smells like yesterday's garbage, man.
It does. Bad.
It's wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, day old garbage really doesn't smell that bad.
I've been to your house.
You've lived in my house.
I lived at your house. Yeah. I've cleaned it.
Yeah.
It
needs it again. So anytime you're free.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you're free, come on over.
Anyways, so
yeah.
have you found, like, I since I have never done this new like the cold cases and stuff, like, what is the difference to you in how you conduct sessions and investigations and using equipment and what? How does it differ between a paranormal case like in a private home and whatnot, when you're actually trying to contact spirits there, and doing these cold cases out like by lakes and in the woods and stuff?
Right. Well, it feels roughly the same. There's a lot of I'd say actually for me is reading the case files and feeling the sadness and close to throwing up when you see pictures like I've seen, and the wanting to find these poor kids, poor girls that nobody else wants to try to find, and to know that again, spirits can talk, and to know that that the team is together in the quest too of finding them. They want to have the questions. There's a lot of pride in my team, but to try to find the people there, it makes them feel like we really knew them very well, and that we're coming to help. It's sad. It'll break you down at times. As a matter of fact, we did a thing in Wright County Museum out there, and we talked about the Sim Crew cold case. And as I was talking about one of the girls, I pretty much broke down because I knew her, um, and it's just amazing that, sometimes a person you don't talk to for a while, you think, maybe in time you'll see them again and stuff. But now all of a sudden you're not going to see them again. But yet you're going to damn sure to make sure that you're going to try to help to find the person that was responsible for it. I hope that answered your question. That's best I can give you.
Yeah, I was just curious about the difference between the two. That was all.
Yeah.
So have you gotten, whether it's through the Ghost Box, whether it's through EVP, whether it's through K2 hit, whatever, do you feel like you have made contact with any of the actual victims or
Oh,
other spirits like around them?
yep. It actually, yeah, I really do feel we have. Um, there is a psychic that we work with. Her name is June Hessler. June's the real deal. I mean, I say that about, Bobby Sullivan and Valentina Lomborg. These guys are the real deal. But June also, she won't let you talk about them. I'll come on and say, okay, I'm ready to talk. And then she's like, okay. And I said, okay, so, and she's like, no, 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 no. Let me get my spirit guides here, and you tell me if it's right or wrong. And then so there's the spirits working with someone that's more in touch with the spirit voice and everything. And she's telling me what we found, what we should really be looking at. And then this told us about the spirits herself, talking about one of the girls that she does remember me and that she's very thankful for they're there. And she has passed over, but she has free reign. Where the other one that we're working on, um, is earthbound and needs help and doesn't understand what's going on, why she's there. So that's the one that we just started kicking in on the last week or so, and we're going to get back out there again and make a better connection with her. But yeah, it's psychics. If you got the right psychic, if you have a psychic though that says, okay, tell me about them and stuff. No, try one that says, don't tell me nothing. I'm going to tell you about them. And then she does. That's incredible right there.
Mhm.
So did I
Have you
answer your
had any
question?
have you had any success yet as far as like case closures or
No case.
leads that kind of opened up a new avenue of exploration that might get to the results, and get to the ending type of thing versus running around in circles over here, right? And then you discover something that leads them onto a clearer path.
Yeah, we have. That's where right now, getting used to the drone and getting back out there again on the water
Yeah.
and get the boat out and stuff and really be looking for them because I know they're there. I've seen things that are out there, as in with my eyes, and we looked for them yesterday, and the water is very low where we're looking. But the mud is extremely high. It's
Yeah.
the silt is pretty bad. But yeah, I know we're gonna find them. I know we're gonna, and like I said, their families, being so supportive and everything, and doing what they can for us too to get out there.
So is this? Please excuse my way of phrasing this, but is this like a
Right.
one-off for you? Like, is it these two cases like that brought you here, and then like you're back to investigating people's homes and stuff, or are you going to try and look for more cases down the road?
Oh no, we're going to do more cases down the road, and we're still going to be paranormal. We're still going to help people when we can. I've gotten a couple cases that I've thrown towards you and everything because we've already got plans of doing other stuff. Yeah, so yeah, we're still going to be going back out there and going out to some of our old haunts and bringing people out there and having some fun with that and everything. As a matter of fact, of a certain area, please don't say the name, that you've been to with me. And it was one that I was attacked back in, I think, 2012, 2013. We went back to that area and it happened all over again, just like it happened before. And I had a really hard time with that. And the weirdest thing is that my body cam I had on me and my K2 meter going in one area, all of a sudden the camera shuts off by itself, could not be turned back on. K2 meter off, just like it's broken. And then we move to a different room, and all of a sudden it all pops on, and the pain and everything else starts to hurt again. This time I didn't stick around. I walked out. I can't go through that stuff again, of what I went through. And the team stayed in there still looking and stuff like that. So
Somebody doesn't like you there, Jerry.
I don't think that it's something that doesn't like me. I really think that it's something that that wants more out of what we're doing and out of what I'm doing. I really do believe that. But that's like, a spirit. Can a spirit touch you? Yeah. Could they also hit you? Yeah. What if in their mind they went to touch you and all of a sudden they're blasting you? They don't know the difference. They just know that they're communicating. So could that happen like that? It could. So
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I choose to believe that they just don't like you.
Is this a place where you got your ass handed to you for provoking? Are we all like on the same page here? Okay.
And I did not provoke this time. And I went back.
No, I know, but the first time, right? The first time you did, and that's what caused the attack the first time around.
Yep. Yeah. That was bad, man. That was so bad. Yep.
It was so bad it was put on TV.
Yep. Yeah, it was. It was wicked. They did kind of Hollywoodize it a little bit,
little embellishment.
I never hit the ground.
Yeah, you never look so thin.
Ouch.
Wow.
Wow. I don't know if you allow people to swear, but you magnificent bastard, you.
There you go.
Thank you.
He deserved that.
Let me stretch.
Oh. Wow.
Anyways, so I don't know. I think you answered all my questions, so we can go now. But so Dave and I, right before you came on, we were talking about how long you've been doing this a little over a year now, correct?
The Sim Crew cold case?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been doing it for about a year, I think. Yep.
I see.
Yep. And it's going to continue on. Ghosts and real, I mean, I love this part.
As I say, you're gonna find your case where it's going to be the perfect hybrid type of thing, which is just gonna like blow you away when the paranormal and being able to help somebody who's reaching out to you and stuff. It's just all going to come together,
Yep.
you know?
I believe it will happen. I'm hoping that it'll be, that at least one that we're going on right now is going to happen this year,
Yeah.
you know?
So every weekend that you guys do this, you post a whole bunch of photos of exactly where you are.
Right.
So it's easy to keep these places, a secret when you're posting photos of where you are every weekend.
Yep.
But they're always well, not all of them. Most of them are all during the day. And so have you, I think the one photo that I saw of, I think that was the spirit circle, that they were doing when they were doing the call of the spirits, or whatever
Calling
you
of the spirits. Yeah.
calling of the spirit. I think that was either at dusk, or nighttime, I think. But
Or
I mean,
even during the day.
but have you done a bunch of these at night?
Yeah, we've done it at nighttime too and everything. To me, what I believe is the male energy is not as, how do you want to say,
Potent.
compassionate as what the female energy is. So to go out there and do a calling of the spirits, all women, I think that that's where it all lies. That's the answer to that. I truly believe that, and I will not interrupt them when I'm there. I mean, once uh, the ghost box goes off, I mean, we even went to one place where we were looking for information from where that's where the body parts were laying and stuff. And all of a sudden, a guy came through, and when the girls did it, and they said, um, I can't remember what they exactly said, and he said, "I died here." And we looked into it, and by God Almighty, there was a guy that was out boating with his kids. One of the kids fell over. He jumped in, got the kid back on the boat, and he drowned. And that's exactly pretty much what we learned about him. So it was pretty amazing. So there's not just the spirits talking about that person that we're looking for, but there are also too other people want to say things too,
Mhm.
to talk to them and to let them know that they died. They know they died there. You know.
Well, the reason that I ask about the nighttime stuff, I mean, if you're trying to find a specific place in a body of water, especially if you're using an ROV, which I would assume is difficult even during the day. But I would think like using, if you were to do like a calling of the spirits, and then ask them like for what a cemetery light, a spirit light or something like that. Could you shine it like over where you are in the water? Like you could see that at night, but you couldn't see that during the day. So I'm just wondering if you've, I guess, attempted to do something like that already.
No, we haven't. Thank you for letting me know. I mean, that's something that, yeah, I never thought about that. You know, I think that would be rather interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have to try that.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. But it's funny is that like Mike, and David, that it doesn't matter what time that you're doing your ghost hunt or whatever and stuff. If a spirit's going to talk to you, they're going to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
And then everybody's like, well, ghosts don't come out till at least midnight or 5 minutes after, and they're usually active till 3 a.m. No, that's bullhickey.
Well,
The only place that I've ever found was like that was a place we did in Wisconsin, an old hotel. And it was, they even said too that you'll start to notice things at the Devil's Hour, which is 3:06.
Yep.
That's when everything started happening like crazy. And we were quite amazed by that. But before then, you could see the ghost. What do you call that?
An apparition.
An apparition. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember just kind of laying back and relaxing and everything. And all of a sudden, this lady goes past my room, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I go on out there, and she's walking into Nicole's room. Nicole, who used to be with us, Crane, and I'm like, "What the hell?" I go, "Nicole," and then I walk in there. There's nobody in there. And Nicole and everybody were downstairs in the bar, not drinking, but just talking with people and stuff and everything about Sim Crew. And it was like, "You guys need to rest. God damn it." You know, yeah, there's things going on up here. I don't want to see it on my own. But that place was amazing because the beds we slept in were the original beds from back in the 1860s. Not the mattresses, just the bed frames. People were short back in them days.
Oh yeah, they were.
Know? Yeah, when you would lay in the bed, my feet would stick through the slats and stuff, you know. And having something in the middle of the night come in and touch you. And this was a disembodied voice, and I said, I go, "Is there someone here?" And I'm looking around with my flashlight. I said, "I felt you touch me. Is there something that you need?" All of a sudden, this little girl's voice says, "I'm sorry." And it's like, okay, hold on a second. And then that was roughly when Nicole came flying in. She goes, "Hey, I'm going to sleep in that bed next to you." And I said, "Why?" She said, "There was an old man just now in my room." And I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah," cleared his voice and said, "You're mine."
Nice.
And I'm like, "What?" And when we listened to the voice recorders the next day, yep, that's what it said. It was crazy. Yeah. I remember once too that Nicole, we were in there. I was staying in this huge room that they had. They made rooms 1 and 2 into one big one. And it was like a $3,000 bed. It was huge. And Nicole was staying in a room where that old man was and stuff. And all of a sudden she comes running in. She says, "Okay, I'm sleeping on that side of the bed," she said. And she took all the pillows and cushions and stuffed them in between us. I go, "I'm not going to touch you. I just want to sleep." I was out like a light. She was too. And while she was sitting there, all of a sudden she thought I walked in from the bathroom and jumped on the bed to sit. You could see the imprint, she says. Wasn't me. It was someone else. That's an amazing place. It's no longer haunted. We ended up clearing it before the new owners took over. We were so happy. But
I'm sure I'm sure they were very appreciative of the fact that they bought a specific haunted hotel and then you cleared it.
If you would have known those people that were buying it, you would have made sure to clear it.
Jared, just being sarcastic, I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But no, I'm just saying, you would have. Yeah, I'm going to stop right there. But no, getting out there in this stuff, and if anybody out there wants to try doing this, I mean, you can, but you've got to know the right people to get the right information. Don't muck it up for other people. You don't know what you're doing, stay away.
And get permission to be on any people's land.
Exactly. That's where, that Zach Bangan guy, he didn't teach that to these young kids that thought he was cool because he had a mohawk and he had a body And these young girls are like, oh my God, drool, drool, drool. You know, it's like, come on. That's not paranormal.
It's a great way to end the show right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
We could also end it with this. You know. Anyway.
Oh yeah, oh that's right. I forgot to announce that you're coming live from your own bathroom.
So
Just
here,
kidding.
I'll flush. No, I'm kidding. I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh, Dave really thought that it was real. I'm sitting in the kitchen.
And you would have heard probably a lot of reverberation off the walls and stuff.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Most definitely, yeah.
So, for anybody who wants to find out anything about the cases that you're working on or the team or anything like that, where would they go to get any of that information?
Just go to www.siminnesota.com, or you can go to Facebook too at Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota Facebook page too. Yep. And our phone number is on there. So if you wanted to call direct and talk with me, you definitely can. You know,
but you shouldn't.
If you have a question. But no, they can. We ask people all the time. You know, we tell people all the time, if they want to, they can. You know, if you have some information and you want us to look into it, we'd be more than happy to. We don't charge anything. We don't charge for nothing. It's all research, just like you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And that's why, for the first time in the history of the show, I'm going to say, if you have paranormal needs, such as activity in your home or business, you should contact me first, and then Jerry.
Me.
No, well, no, because you're just going to hand me the case anyways. So let's get rid of the middleman.
But who's going to be bitching about it?
What do you mean?
Oh, that's you. That's right.
Never mind. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that on the air.
No, Mike, you got a great team. I appreciate you, and I know a lot of people do appreciate you too.
I don't know about that part, but I appreciate yours.
He's got a cool trailer.
I do have a cool trailer. I have an amazing trailer. A mobile command unit.
Bum.
I will actually be in it this afternoon doing evidence review. But Dave, do you have any final questions?
I do not.
No? All right.
I do not. Yeah,
Jerry, I appreciate you coming on and talking about this, because I think that this is an avenue of using the paranormal that a lot of people don't think about. And so, yeah, I think that I think the path that you're on is amazing, and you're doing a good job.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
But you know what? If you have a breakthrough or new leads or whatever, please feel free to come on anytime you want and talk about it.
I will for sure. As a matter of fact, if we do, you'll be the first person we get a hold of. How's that?
That works. I do like being first. But just never am.
Well, but we'll make sure you are this time.
Score us, Dave. But okay. That's all we have for this week. We'll be back next week. Hopefully.
Sounds good.
Another, not with Jerry, but Dave and I will be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Everyone, have a great rest of the weekend and a happy Mother's Day.